Hello and welcome to my very first workstation PC build log. This video does not contain any benchmarking results and overclocking stuff, so if that's what you're looking for, please close the video right now. Thanks!
What kind of normie freaking garbage is this?
You're still here? Alrighty then. Today we're going to unbox the stuff that I will be using for the next, 4 to 8 years maybe? I don't really upgrade my computer that much unless it's necessary. We're also going to talk about some purchasing considerations and some justifications for the decisions that I have made. And of course, a couple of glam shots at the end. Anyway, the benchmarking results and maybe some overclocking stuff as well, I'm not sure yet, will be uploaded in the following weeks. I just can't include it on this video because I'm still waiting for the remaining stuff to be delivered and frankly, I just don't have the time for it. Let's go! I assembled this thing last July 23 and I have bought most of it last July 12 and some more stuff just got delivered a week or two after that. Yeah, I know, right? So, the reason why I upgraded my whole system is because I wanted to learn After Effects, Blender, and DaVinci Resolve 16 for a while now. But my previous Intel i3 Potato computer just can't handle it. It can't even handle a 1080p video with ease on Premiere, especially after upgrading my camera. Now, I'm not going to go in-depth on every component that I will be using because I'm pretty sure that you have watched a lot of review videos about these things right now. I mean, the only things that are released in 2019 on this build are the CPU and motherboard. The motherboard that I will be using is the Gigabyte X570 Aorus Master. I know that an X570 is not that necessary for a 3000 series Ryzen CPU, and I could have just bought an X470 board with good VRMs for some decent overclocking. I have actually considered going for the Asus X470 Maximus 7 Hero during the planning stage, but in the end, I chose the X570. My justification for that was since I rarely upgrade my computer, as I have said on the intro, why not get the best one that I can afford right now instead of upgrading again later? And so I did. You can click right here for BuildZoid's in-depth analysis of the X470 and X570 motherboards. Also, at the time of writing my script, MSI and Gigabyte just released some information about their B450 and X470 motherboards with native Ryzen 3000 series support. So if you're planning on buying one of those boards but don't have an extra AMD CPU, you might want to check those out. Here is the box. Alright, let's put it right here for now. Just going to adjust the height of my tripod. I think this is the heaviest motherboard that I have ever put my hands on. It's like a tank. And here is the backside with its metal backplate or armor. Look at that! This thing is fancy! So, here are the other things inside the box. A plethora of various Aorus stickers, a quick setup installation guide, the motherboard manual with the driver CD inside, and of course, these things, ranging from SATA cables, Wi-Fi antenna, addressable LED strip adapter, RGB LED strip extension, noise detection cables, some Aorus Velcro straps, thermistor cables or thermal probe sensors, M.2 screws and standoffs, and this thing. It's called a G connector. It's supposed to help you plug in your front panel I/O cables onto your motherboard easily. For the CPU, I have chosen AMD's 12-core 24-threads Ryzen 9 3900X. My initial plan was to build a new rig last April, and I wanted to get a 9700K or a 9900K back then. I posted my planned build list on the PCMR subreddit and someone told me that a promising new AMD CPU would be released in a few months and suggested that I should wait for it if I wanted to. It was news to me back then since I didn't really care that much about AMD products, so out of curiosity, I did a little research on it and felt like, this could be the right fit for my use case. Fast forward to a few months and it's July 7. Of course, I did not buy it right away. I waited for third-party reviews just to see if it's worth it before I finally gave in and bought one for myself a week after the release. Here is the glorious 3900X CPU with the Ryzen 9 sticker, some instructions on how to attach the cooler and some information about the CPU and BIOS upgrades. And here is the AMD Wraith Prism stock cooler. See, this right here was an oopsie. I did not look under the cooler and some of the thermal paste ended up on my big mousepad, or is it called desk pad? And here are the cables for the RGB LED that you can attach to either a USB header or to a 12V LED header on your motherboard. Alright, let's install the CPU. Before putting your CPU onto the socket, look for the small triangle shape on the corner and align the golden triangle that is located under the CPU, the one that is near the pins. This one right here. Also, be careful not to bend the pins or you're going to have a bad time straightening them up. Okay, now that it's on the socket, give it a little wiggle to make sure that all the pins are connected. Then, close the latch. After that, let's attach the cooler. Just hook it up onto the things that are attached to your motherboard. I don't like this locking mechanism. I feel like I'm going to break my motherboard while closing the latch. You can even see my thumb struggling just to close it. After closing the latch, give it a little wiggle just to make sure that everything is secured. Then, connect the fan cable onto the CPU fan header. The cable is a bit too long for my liking, so I'm just going to hide it near the VRMs. For the RGB LED, it depends on where you want to connect it and what header you want to use. As I have mentioned before, you can either connect it to a 12V RGB LED header or to a USB header. I will use the 12V RGB LED header because it is the closest one to the CPU. Again, the cable is too long for my liking, so I'm going to hide it near the VRMs. Now, for the RAM, my initial plan was to get two 3200 CL16 16GB sticks of black G.Skill Trident Z RGB. But, unfortunately, the store where I bought it ran out of the black version. The only one they have in stock are the shiny ones, which I don't like. So my only choices are the shiny Trident Z, the white Vengeance Pro RGB, and the black one. I chose the latter because I like it. Alright, before installing the RAM, open the clips by pushing the right side clips to the right and pushing the left side clips to the left. The ones on your motherboard may be different though. So, here are the 4 sticks of RAM that we will use. Align the notch on the RAM to the thing that is on the DIMMs. Then, gently push it down until you hear 2 clicks. For the GPU, my first choice was just to use my 1050 Ti that I have bought just last year. Then again, I thought, I'm going to upgrade my whole system anyway, so might as well upgrade my GPU too. So I did. My second choice was the RTX 2060, but the price difference on it and the RTX 2070 is not that high. At the time when I bought it at least, so I went for the Gigabyte Windforce RTX 2070. Alright, here's the box. Inside the box is another box. Inside of that other box is another box that contains the driver CD and some quick installation guide. Here it is with its chunky heatsink and 3 fans. It has a total of 4 outputs, 3 display ports and 1 HDMI, and a USB Type-C port for some reason. Before attaching it to our motherboard, remove the rubber protection on its PCIe pins first. Okay, gently push it down until you hear a click. And that's it. For the PSU, again, my first choice was to still use my old one, which I have bought 2 years ago. The 500 watts Cooler Master Masterwatt Lite with 80+ white certification. But I'm going to be using a powerful CPU, and I'm planning on overclocking my system even just by a little. So I chose a 750 watts 80+ gold certified power supply just to be safe. This is the RM750X 750 watts power supply from Corsair. Here's what's inside the box. Some important information booklet and the manual, the 3-pronged power plug, a bag that contains the cables because this is a fully modular power supply. Here is the unit itself, the sockets for the peripherals and SATA, 24-pin ATX for the motherboard, 6+2 PCIe sockets for the GPU, and 4+4 socket for the CPU. Okay, first let's connect the one for the CPU. Then the one for the motherboard, for the GPU, then the one for the SATA drives, and lastly, the one to power the PSU. Now, let's connect it to the CPU, GPU, and to the motherboard. This HDMI cable will be connected to my first monitor. For the storage, I will be using a 250GB Samsung 860 EVO SSD for the OS and general necessary softwares. Here it is. Wow, it's so light! I would also use an SN750 500GB M.2 NVMe SSD from Western Digital for all my editing softwares. I would use it as my cache drive and project source and output drive and Steam drive as well. It's already inside the M.2 slot though. I forgot to take a video of it. I'm also going to be using a 1TB WD Black hard drive for all of my media files. And, although not a relevant information, I also have a 2TB and 3TB Seagate Barracuda drives for redundancy and backup. Another 500GB drive, which is just working when it's in the mood to work, and 2 laptop drives with a total of another 1TB for my anime series collection. Okay, let's connect the SSD. Here's the included SATA cable. Let's attach it to SATA port 0, then connect it to the PSU to power it. And this is the moment of truth. We will find out if we did everything correctly. Let's see if it would post first before we put everything inside the case. Let's turn on the PSU. Click the super handy onboard power switch on the motherboard. And looks like everything's okay. It does take a while to post though. Oh, there it is! Alright, let's check out the BIOS. I have already set this one up, but I haven't updated the BIOS yet. I think I'm going to wait until everything is fixed and working smoothly before I update it. Okay, so as you can see here, the SSD and HDD are detected as SATA drives. And the M.2 NVMe SSD is not yet detected as a SATA drive because I haven't set it up on Windows yet. But here it is. And the PCIe is where the GPU is connected. Now, this is the first computer that I have built using my own money. If you have watched some of my videos from before, you might have seen this one already. It has an Intel i3 4160 CPU with a Cooler Master Air G100M RGB cooler, an Ino 3D GT420 GPU which I only bought for me to use 2 monitors before I replaced it with a Gigabyte GTX 1050 Ti GPU because it broke. 2 sticks of 4GB HyperX Fury DDR3 RAM, 120GB HyperX Fury SSD, and a 500W Master Watt Lite PSU. I've been using this one for about 5 years now. I think I have only replaced some fans, hard drives, cooler, GPU, PSU, and that's it. I'm thinking of maybe selling the GPU for a cheap price and give the PC away to someone who needs it, or just sell it for a cheap price as well. I'm not sure what to do yet. I haven't opened this since the last time I cleaned it, which was like 6 months ago. A bit dusty, but still looks clean. The only thing that I will use from this rig is the hard drive, so I need to take it out. And now, for the
pièce de résistance.
The case that I fell in love with since the first time I saw it on Corsair's YouTube channel last year. Are you ready? This is the Corsair Obsidian 500D RGB SE. It's a mid-tower case. It has a total of 3 tempered glass panels, 2 for the left and right swing-out panels and 1 for the front. It also has 3 LL120 fans at the front for intake and a Corsair Commander Pro for controlling the fans, RGB customization, and hardware monitoring using Corsair's IQ software. And a total of 3 dust filters as well, 1 at the top, 1 at the front, and a small dust filter for the PSU at the bottom. The ones at the top and front are magnetic. Okay, let's take out the side panels first and put them somewhere safe. FYI, if you're in the Philippines, the tempered glass side panels are not included in the warranty because it's most likely human error when it breaks, especially if you bought it on a store and took it home intact. Okay, so let's unscrew the panels first. After unscrewing, swing it out, then lift it up. Here are some boxes attached to the HDD trays. It's for the additional cables and stuff, I think. Okay, let's remove the SSD trays first. Alright, let's see. Okay. So this box contains the cables for the Corsair Commander Pro. But let's see what's inside the unlabeled one first. Oh, alright. This one contains all the screws for the fans, radiators, SSDs, motherboard stand-offs, and few extra velcro straps and zip ties as well. The labeled box contains a few cables, some temperature probes, and LED extension and USB header cables. Now, let's attach our drives. First one is the HDD, followed by the SSD. After that, let's install our motherboard. And here's the Corsair Commander Pro for no reason. And here's the first version of the wire management at the back. I did not include the process of it since my camera's memory card is almost full. I also added 2 more temperature probes that are attached to the SSD and HDD. Not necessary, I was just curious on how hot they can get. Here's the wire management at the front. As you can see, I used the Aorus Velcro straps to cover the cables that are connected to the GPU. I have also added the included Corsair sticker on the power supply shroud. Wire management on this thing is really easy. You just need to figure out where to place the cables. Now for some oddly satisfying protective plastic peeling porn. Then some Glamour Shots. Thanks for watching and see you again next week. Maybe.